Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Maysoon Shafiq and I am the lead chaplain here at the Rotherham Foundation Hospital. Just a quick question. Has anyone ever referred to chaplaincy here? How many? Let's have a show of hands. All right, well done you guys. Now the ones that haven't put their hands up, why haven't you referred to chaplaincy? This side of the room didn't have the hands up. Why have we not referred? You don't know? You don't know about chaplaincy? Well, today you're going to find out a lot of answers. I am doing a PhD in palliative care, so I've actually been silently sat at the back just listening to all the speakers today. It's been very informative and useful for me as well. But my role here is non-clinical. So I am going to come and you've heard a lot about interventions being from the clinical side. I'm going to come and kind of give you the spiritual and the pastoral and the religious intervention. So my session is going to cover the role of chaplaincy. We're going to look at the model of spiritual care as described by Woolfelt. We're also going to look at providing Marie and Heidi some practical, emotional, cultural support through the lens of chaplaincy. And then there are other considerations as well. So we've got the ethical side of things to look at, and we're going to be looking at that. So, the role of chaplaincy. A lot of you didn't put your hand up, and I feel that's because you're probably not aware of what chaplaincy do. The most common myth buster, and I'm here to advocate that and promote this, is you do not have to have a faith or belief to come to chaplaincy. I think 9 times out of 10 people always assume that you've got to be of a faith or belief to use chaplaincy services. And the answer is no. I mean, I think it's Sarah picked up on your name. Sarah mentioned in the back over there that she's had somebody at one of the other sites in Sheffield.
At the Northern,
at the Northern.
Service existed until I worked there.
Yeah, and they've just come in and she said they just came and held the hand of the patient and just sat there. So that's providing pastoral support. We're that listening ear and that support when you're super busy. As clinical staff, as ward staff, you're busy, and sometimes you might not have that time to just check in on the patient and just see if everything else is okay. So we're here for people of all faiths and beliefs. If anyone's ever gone up to seafloor, we've actually got a chapel, but we've also got a multi-faith room. We've also got the male and female prayer rooms for Muslims. So it's not just for patients. The other thing I'd like to advocate is that we're here for staff as well. So whenever I'm out on the wards, I'm always forever checking in, and not on just the patients, but also my staff, just to make sure my colleagues are okay. Because you do deal with a lot on a daily basis, and sometimes you need that listening ear, and you need someone to be able to kind of shed that support off too. We offer bedside prayer. We've got multi-faith rooms, like I've said. We also provide bereavement support and assist with funerals. Only yesterday I got a call at 12:35. It was for a Muslim patient, and they wanted that patient to be out by 1 o'clock. And I said, what time did the patient pass away? 8:15. What are you calling me at 12:35? We still managed it, 5 to 1. They were in the mortuary on the way out. So we still managed it, but I think that's only because of the relationships that we've built up. So if there's anything that you take away from today's session, from the whole study day, is build those relationships, build that rapport and that support with other pathways, because ultimately we're all here for the same thing. We're all providing a patient-led service. We're all making sure that the patient and whatever their needs are is accommodated. And if we do that together in cahoot, in sync, what better way? We're achieving the proud values of the trust. So we've obviously got some information, and again on this one, she's 75, so we'll just increase and decrease her age as we go along. But let's have a look at the chaplain's model of spiritual care. Now, this has been described as Woolfelt. Now, if you can see, there are 4 elements to it. There's a biological, spiritual, social, and psychological unity of this element here. So although it's a circle, it's overlapping a lot. And you'll find that within your roles as well when you're ward staff and you're working clinically. So we've got to actively listen to the emotional pain that the patient's going through. Not just the screams or the wailing that they're making, but how is it that we can help them? Sometimes the pain and the screams that they make speak more volumes than them actually stringing a sentence along together. And as chaplains, our ears have become toned to that. We listen to that. And that's when we link in with the ward staff and we say, have we considered this? Have we tried this? So we are a kind of an added on incentive to all the ward staff because we are an extension to your arms. We also listen to the patient's story. Sometimes, as ward staff, you don't have time to take the holistic view. As chaplains, we'll come in and we'll listen to the holistic views of that patient. I know we're obviously talking about the advanced care planning and looking at the needs of the patient, where the wishes are, where they wish to die. But sometimes they've got other issues. They've got social issues, they've got psychological issues, which sometimes are silent. Now, that's not silent because the patient hasn't voiced them. That's because nobody's asked them. And if they're not being asked, they're not going to say. And so there's a lot of preconceived assumptions that are made. And if we're a patient-led service, that's not providing a good service. So we need to make sure that we use all the skills that we have, all the heights that we have, the verbal, the non-verbal, all the communication labels that we can possibly use to make sure that that patient is fully assessed. Now, I've got Maria and Heidi side by side here, because I thought that would be a better way to evaluate and have a look. All the duty chaplains in my team, there's a team of 5, we're all pastorally trained. So anybody could walk in of no faith and belief and we could provide them that pastoral care that they need. We've all had the dementia friend training as well. So obviously looked at Marie and she is obviously going through dementia. We would be able to offer that extra emotional support because of the training we've had. So all our chaplains walk with a lanyard with the dementia friend label because we've all been trained in that. We'll offer a listening ear and provide that pastoral support. Now, sometimes what we have found, what I have especially found in my experience of working as a chaplain for almost best part of a decade, more than that, is when a patient gets towards the end of their life, they're at the later of their life, they probably haven't explored religion at all, but they start questioning when they're at that stage. Now, we can't proselytize and ask them to revert or get into a religion or kind of follow a faith. That's one of the things we do not do. Now, that's me loud and clear. But one thing that we do is support them. If they start questioning their faith or they start saying, oh, I actually do want to kind of go down this avenue. Is God angry with me? Am I getting this illness because there's something I've done wrong? So it's us that come in at that point that kind of reassure them and give them that reassurance and let them know that it's not because of what they've done or because of their deeds that they like to believe. It's just something that was supposed to happen. And it's just kind of making them see that reality. Now, for Heidi, we've got different considerations because I saw on the other slide, she's actually not the next of kin. She's got a sister who is the next of kin. So Marie's daughter is, the other daughter, is the next of kin. So Heidi may not have told her mum with what she's suffering. She may have just kind of remained silent on it and thought, well, if I do tell my mum she's got dementia, she may forget. Or if I do tell her, I may exacerbate her injury and she might just kind of not realise what I'm actually going through. So for that reason alone, that consideration needs to be taken into consideration. And that's an ethical consideration. If Marie turns round and says, what's actually wrong with Heidi? I don't know where Heidi is. She used to visit me a lot, but she's not visiting me more often now. Where is she? Is she okay? We have a duty of confidentiality. So we would have to abide by that. We would only tell Marie what Heidi would want us to tell her. Now, you might think that's so weird because she's a mother and daughter relationship. You should be able to kind of let loose. But I've been doing this job for far too long to know that sometimes those relationships are the relationships where there are the most secrets, where the daughter doesn't want to tell the mom, the husband doesn't want to tell the wife, the father doesn't want to tell the daughter. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. So here we have to have those ethical considerations and we just make sure that we only inform and release as much information as has been said by Heidi. We obviously have to support Heidi with the practical arrangements, signpost her to anything that she feels she needs. So we've obviously got social housing that was being spoken about previously. Any welfare or financial situations or any services that we can signpost her to, that would be yours. So we previously used to sit in a lot of MDTs, and that would be a lot of other kind of departments all coming together under the same umbrella, looking for a resolution for the patient. So this is where we would come in as chaplains to see what else we can offer, what else we can do, because sometimes as clinicals, as clinicians, you may not have thought that far. You just think about pain management, trying to just get the patient some form of relief, but we'll kind of be the extra, kind of the PAs, supposedly, the kind of the highlighted PAs, where we'll come in and we'll say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? So we're like what I started my presentation with, we're an added incentive, we're an extension to your arms. But like I started it off with asking how many of you have actually referred to chaplaincy, and not many of you had your hand up. But at least by the end of this session, you'll feel more comfortable and more confident to be able to refer to chaplaincy, because now you know what we do. Now you know what we can support you with. But we are a patient-led service. So we need to ensure that whatever Heidi and Marie want, that is what we give them. We can never go in and enforce our own beliefs, what our values are. We have to really listen in and tone in to what they want. I've put a rocket illustration over here from the National Model for Spiritual Care and Health. What that demonstrates is how spiritual care should be delivered, but through a multidisciplinary workforce. So we've had, from 9 o'clock this morning, different speakers come up from different departments, and they've done an absolutely amazing job from different pathways, telling us how we should all be working together to achieve the same goal. And this is literally the National Model for Spiritual Care. That is what we follow. That's our Bible. That is what we have to follow. So we have to make sure any representatives in the community, the spiritual care practitioners, the nursing, the medical staff, the ward staff, matrons, from everyone from the level up to the bottom down, we're all communicating with each other, because there can't be that breakdown in communication. One of the things that I picked up quite vividly here is in the community, if something gets referred on to Barnsley, there's obviously struggle and there's problems. That we shouldn't be having, but we are having that problem. So we need to look to find these resolutions, because ultimately what we're doing is providing that patient-led care and achieving what the patients want. So at the moment, chaplaincy are not on Meditech. It is something that I am looking to implement. I have had a meeting a couple of weeks ago. So fast forward a couple of weeks, we should be on Meditech. So when we do and when we are on Meditech, it should literally be what I've said is there should be like a little tick box. So if the ward staff just want to have a referral for chaplaincy, or you feel that patient could benefit with a referral from chaplaincy, the box is ticked and we're on our way.
I think that's one of the things that we sort of both looked at, isn't it? When I was obviously in the union post, and then Meg soon came after me.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, how then are we expecting sort of staff members on the wards to know that obviously chaplaincy, that chaplaincy support. So you've been working with the one to try and look at that. So
yeah.
It's a really good point, but
yeah.
We're on this.
Yeah, because one of the things that I picked up with the CNS team as well is when I had a meeting with them is they assumed that it's only inpatients that chaplains see, and it's not. We see outpatients, inpatients, people who are in day surgery. We see all types of patients, but this assumption that we can only offer X, Y, or Z, that is totally incorrect. But again, it's the lack of education, it's the lack of awareness. If we're not signposting or promoting our services well enough, then it's really bad on us. So when this side of the room, and I say this side of the room, didn't put their hand up in the beginning of my presentation, that's no error on your part, that's error on our part, because we've not done enough to promote our chaplaincy services, to kind of alert you to what we actually do. So being here and being present in this palliative study day has been more welcoming, most welcoming, because I've been able to alert you all to the services that we do offer, because Heidi and Marie are just a case study that we're looking at today. But there are many cases with the patients, in the community, in society, that if they had that referral from chaplaincy, it would make a ton of difference to them.
What I've said, is there a way, do you follow patients through hospital, maybe into the community, or is there another service that people could be put onto for pastoral support in the community? Well, you're district nurse, aren't you? So they don't have that. They don't have this. You don't have that referral, do you?
Yeah, so it just for community purposes, when you do visit patients at home and they need that pastoral support, how do they don't have no access at all to anything like that? Or
The family would have arranged it. The ones I've known, their family have arranged it.
yeah.
But it's not something that...
Yeah, usually what tends to happen is they usually, when they're discharged, they're signposted to so many kind of charities and so many helpline numbers that they can use. But if they've been a patient with us, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to call our chaplaincy number and get that pastoral support over the phone.
Or even if you guys could take it to their local.
You don't actually visit them in their own home then?
We don't currently visit them in their own home because we don't have that provision. But we do have a multi-faith team and we do have a local contacts list. So if there's a patient we find who doesn't resonate with our faith, we've got a multi-faith team who can speak to them. But like I say, if it's not faith, it's pastoral, and all of my chaplains can do that.
Do they have to be end of life to refer to you?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm so glad you asked that question, because that is also another common myth. A lot of times people assume that they've got to be end of life, they've got to be dying, and we've got to make that referral. But no, you can make that referral at any time. Sometimes we've gone into ED just to see people who have just come in. So at any point, if you feel, or if the patient felt that they wanted a visit from the chaplaincy services, you could refer them on. If you've got access to Meditech, you can make a referral to us. What would happen is we would receive that Meditech referral in an email format. So we would receive it in an email because we don't have chaplaincy on Meditech as such as of yet, but we will have in a few weeks. So your referral will come through to us. So you can do that if you've got access to Meditech. Or I've left the numbers on the screen. You can drop us an email. We've got the extension number of our department, which is 4098. And you can just ring through and we will come up and make that visit to wherever patient, whichever ward they're on. What I've also done is just put the opening hours of our department because, like Caroline was saying, we're not a shop. We are open all the time, but we're offering this service. So Monday to Friday, we're open 8 till 4. And then out of hours, we run 4 till 10. So we do have an out of hours facility, which runs until 10 o'clock at night. But in that situation, if it's after 4 o'clock, you just call the switchboard, and whoever the duty chaplain is, switchboard will just redirect the call to us. And then after 10 o'clock, there's a voicemail facility. So we'll just pick up the call next morning at 8 o'clock when we get back into the office. And there's a weekend on-call service, which is 8 till 10 throughout the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Again, the same provisions of on-call. Just call into the switchboard and they will put you through to the duty chaplain who is on call on that night. And then after 10 o'clock, we've got the voicemail facility. So we are trying our level hardest to reach out and tap into the patients and the staff and everyone that needs our support. But we need you to equally tap into us. If we've made contact with the local churches, with now Father Clistus being on site, he then does what we call a handover to the priest, to somebody in the community of the faith leading, so that they can then do that transition and let them know what care we've given them, and then that support that they can have. So it might tie in with your community question. We can offer it. We'll just kind of link them into the community with people that we're aware of. And we do that quite a lot.